Starting off on a new project here using the 46100-K 1/8 inch upcut bit. We're going to use this to go ahead and cut out the first part of a pocket. This is a flat bottom depth V-carve, and I'm using a large area clearance tool here, and this guy is carving out the majority of the waste. You can see here it's going to take a second step down, so we're cutting 0.25 inches deep, and it's doing a great job leaving a really nice clean cut. And then we're going to switch out for the RC-1102 90 degree V insert bit. This is going to go through and clean up the rest of the path. Make everything nice and smooth and then clean up all of those edges. You can see this is doing a great job leaving a really nice chip-free edge, even on this Baltic birch, which is definitely not easy to do. This is going to be an epoxy-filled piece, and it's going to turn out really nice. I'm pretty excited for you guys to see the finished product. But anyways, you can see it going through, making all those nice sharp corners, and going to be really easy to fill with epoxy. So we're going through and doing the final passes. For this first pour, I'm using some spray lacquer to try to seal the grain to prevent any sort of bleeding. Fortunately, it ended up not working so great, but I'm using some total boat epoxy here, and then some Imperial Red Black Diamond pigments with a little bit of Alumilite dye as well. It's absolutely awesome to see this epoxy going in to fill the pour. I think it's the most satisfying thing in the world. But unfortunately, like I said, it did bleed a little bit here. Ended up not being a huge issue, and I actually kind of like the way that it turned out. But it's kind of a happy mistake, I guess, if you want to call it that. But if you go through and use a popsicle stick like that, you can kind of sort of make the epoxy go in directions. And then when it sets, it'll actually show that. And you can see that in the final one as well. So then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the outside edge. This is going to create the shadow. We're using the same 90 degree V insert bit, and it's doing a great job here, and it's amazing to me how precise a CNC machine can be. You can see it's going right up against that edge of the epoxy to create the shadow, and doing a great job at it. And then it's going to clean up the edges just like before, creating that nice sharp offset. But you can also see as we're going around here, you can see some of the bleed through on the epoxy. We're going to do it a little bit different this time, and going to use some Total Boat clear epoxy, and then going to go ahead and use that to seal the grain. Definitely worked much better. But we're going to cut the outside profile at the same time using the 46202-K 1/4 inch down cut bit. This is the outside edge, and it's going to be the same color as that shadow on the KC, and it does a great job leaving a really nice clean cut. And we're just going to clean up the pocket, get all of the extra waste out of there, and you can see there is absolutely no lines on the bottom, and it's doing a great job. So we're just going to use some Total Boat again, and this is the clear. Like I said, I'm just going to brush on a thin layer here, and this definitely did a much better job at sealing that epoxy, and didn't allow any bleed through at all. If there would have been any bleeding with this darker color, it definitely would have caused a lot of problems, and would have shown a whole lot more than just a little bit of red. Now that the clear epoxy is dry, I can go ahead and fill the rest of the design in with the other color. This is the Black Onyx from Black Diamond Pigments with some Total Boat epoxy, and this clear epoxy did a much better job than the spray lacquer did at sealing this grain. There's absolutely no bleed through, and it works great. So applying it with the syringe is real easy. Then we're just going to zero off with the RC-2255 flattening bit. After it's been dry for about 24 hours, it works great at getting all of this nice and flattened. Now I did notice as I'm going through here that I do have a little bit of a tramming issue after moving the CNC machine that I need to work out. That's why you see a little bit of lines there on the actual piece. But other than that, the flattening bit did a fantastic job getting this all nice and clean. So we're just going with the grain there, and then we'll do a little profile path to clean up the outside area. That way we can go ahead and get the actual profile of this piece cut. So now we're going to go ahead and zero off with the 46202-K. This is a 1/4 inch down cut bit. We're just going to run around with a 1/2 inch offset and go ahead and cut out the rest of the profile. This piece does a great job with cutting out any profiles like this, and the down cut leaves a really nice smooth cut on the top, and does a great job cutting through all of this. So I left a few tabs there just to hold this piece down and in place. That way it doesn't move on me. We just need to get the piece flipped over and go ahead and cut those tabs using a little multi-tool here, and then we can pull the piece out and see what that's going to look like. So we got the mini roundover bit set up in the router table. This is the MR0110. Does a great job getting into some of these tight corners and flush trimming the tabs at the same spot. Definitely a bit that's great. The 3/16 inch diameter ball bearing rides into all of the tight spots and does a great job rounding it over. It's almost like hand sanding it over. leaves a really nice smooth finish. So now we got the Festool ETS 150 set up with 150 grit sandpaper. Doing a first pass here, and we're going to do it the same thing with 220 grit and get everything all nice and cleaned up. We'll just do a little bit of hand sanding on the front using the Gator Finishing Micro Zip. This is set up with 220 grit sandpaper, and then now it's time to apply some finish. I'm using Odie's oil here because I love the way that it works with wood and epoxy. It gives a great finish to both of them, and doesn't make the epoxy shiny like a lot of other finishes I've seen it do. I started off using a little scraper, but then just switched to rubbing it around with the hand. Definitely looked a little bit better and went a little smoother. So we let it dry for about 40 minutes or so, and I just went over it with some shop towels and buffed everything off to a really nice dull luster, but it definitely shows off the grain of the wood and the epoxy really well. We got the 1/8 inch bit and 90-degree V insert, the RC-2255 flattening, the 46202-K 1/4 inch down cut, and the mini roundover bit. All of these guys helped make the project possible, and I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. Definitely really excited about this piece, and it'll definitely be one that goes in my home and shows off for a long time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this project. Definitely let us know what you guys think down in the comments, and we will catch you guys back out here on the next one. Have a great day, everybody.